Hey everybody, and hope you're all doing okay. I've been thinking of you all this week. I'm going to turn my white noise machine on. We have some homeschool kids here today in our yard, and it's just awesome. We had to move to meet somewhere where we could be more private. So anyway, kind of sad, but I've been thinking of you all here in this community, and I wanted to share some thoughts of what's happening and what's going on. So I've been quiet, just really trying to integrate the energies, connect with it's hard, there's so much going on, and I've been trying to really intuitively come to a place of center and what feels true to me and what I can then share with others. So as you can imagine, for varying reasons, not all of them political, but a lot of that was political at the local level and national level. I was just like, it was rough past few days. Reached this like rock bottom place of just like not good. And I took a bath, salt bath, really helps clear negative energy. And I realized that, a lot of what's happening is we're seeing the darkness, and we're seeing the shadows, and they need to come up, they need to be expressed for us to heal them and clear them once and for all. And so we're seeing this on a global level and on our individual level. And so, I've been thinking a lot about how to talk about what I'm feeling and noticing with others, because right now the climate is so polarized and people are so triggered, and we're all of us, including myself, are looking for, somebody to blame in subconscious ways, maybe, about why this is all happening. I'm talking about the virus situation. And then it gets political with, the presidential election, with what's going on in our individual states. A lot of you are from Maine like me. And are we descending into a dystopian nightmare world? Or is this a great opportunity for healing? And I do feel like we're moving into this new way of healing, of creating the way we want to be. And for me personally, it doesn't always feel that way with all the mask wearing everywhere. And to be honest, a lot of it is about that for me. And some people have different views about that. Maybe they're helping in some situations, but I think there's this great meme I saw yesterday. It was like these three, circles where they meet in the middle, and it's like, the virus is real. That, it can be dangerous for some people, very few. And you also believe that this virus is being used for political and social control, to, control and manipulate us. That's where I land too, all three of those things. So, in terms of so for me, in the Akashic records and intuitively trying to really understand what's going on, what's the truth. And I've picked up on a lot of different things, about Trump, a little bit about Biden, about the virus, about just our whole shift in consciousness. And, I know some of you in this group have different feelings, and some of, where do I land on that? I land generally in the middle, maybe a little more on one end than the other. But let me say this, that I do feel like so much of what's happening, it is like this metaphor of going through birth and go through a birth canal. We're going through this collective transition to a new way, and we're in that transition phase of birth. And it's like when you get to, this came up in the Akashic records today, when you get to that place when you're entering the birth canal, you're being squeezed. It feels like it's tight. It feels uncomfortable, and we want it to go away. I remember I went through this twice. It's like, please stop now. I don't want to be doing this. But and so a lot of us are looking for somebody to blame, and that's what we're seeing now, this polarization. Well, it must be your fault. Hi. It must be the people who don't want to wear masks' fault, because the virus would be gone if everybody would just wear their mask. Would it really? Or it must be Trump's fault because he's so divisive. And I'm not saying he is divisive, but it must be his fault. Or it must be, I've been seeing this really heartbreaking stuff, attacks on light workers. It must be these light workers who are, quote, conspiracy theorists, who are, trying to brainwash people with propaganda connected to QAnon and all this stuff. It's really sad, and there's been a lot of bashing that some of that's connected to all the censorship. And I'm not saying that what's right or what's wrong. I'm not going to take a position on that, because I think there's truth and untruth in everything. But we're looking, so we're being squeezed, and it's uncomfortable, so we're lashing out. That's where a lot of us are in fight or flight. When we're in fight or flight, we are in our irrational brains. And so and I'm not saying I'm perfect either. I've been guilty of it myself. I've had two, very close experiences with this virus. My grandfather died, but a friend of ours got better in 3 days with holistic methods. My grandfather had the opposite of holistic methods. He was in a nursing home, no fresh air, not healthy foods. They were doing the best they could, but he was also 92. And anyway, but there are some people who it's like there's truth in everything. And so how do we get out of this? Well, back to what I was saying about the shift in consciousness. We wouldn't be homeschooling our kids if we weren't forced into this situation. I didn't want my kids to go to school with all the restrictions. And so we started homeschooling them, and they're right now playing with kids outdoors. They've been outside all day. This is the new way. That we wouldn't have been doing this. We wouldn't have moved to this community in Maine if we hadn't been forced through this whole situation into it. And so the other thing, and so that's one part of it. Like the new way of being on Earth, is not going to be through these traditional systems. It's going to be in private communities, in these sub-societies. And so this is what I'm hoping happens. No, whether you want to view it this way or not, some people don't like it. Sounds like a conspiracy theory. Both my grandfathers were in the CIA, as many of you know. One of them in the CIA, Ralph McGehee, wrote Deadly Deceits. This stuff happens. This is real. It's not just a conspiracy theory. There is a shadow government, and he has direct experience of it, generally through the CIA. So you don't have to believe me if you don't want to, but read it. Ralph McGehee's Deadly Deceits. A lot of evidence out there. So yes, we don't want to focus on that darkness, but we're seeing what's happening. And so in terms of how do we heal from these shadows, from this shadow government that's, trying to really distract us and divide us. And so we go after each other, and we don't go after who's really behind some of this. Big tech, big pharma, big finance, all of the bigs. This is what's behind this. It's about greed, it's about profit, it's about control, and keeping people in a state of fear and anger, and dividing families, dividing people politically. That is what it's like. We play right into it when we attack each other, and because we are so much stronger when we come together as a society, as using our hearts, trying to forgive even those big ones, the bigs, right? The shadow government people, and it's not just government, it's corporations. It goes way, 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 we won't go there as much, but you know what I'm talking about. It goes much deeper than that. But even forgiving them, that maybe they can change, maybe they can come into the light, maybe they can, reform. And so that is where the only way we're going to be able to heal and move on from this, is coming at, from this place of fifth dimensional unity consciousness, of forgiveness, of healing, of understanding. Something else, I'm just going to look at my notes here, because something else came up in the Akashic Records today that I wanted to share with you all. Let's see if I can find it. So the transition phase, and the other piece is we are also being asked, we have free will on this planet. And so one of the things that I've been, kind of going back and forth is like this new outdoor mask mandate by Janet Mills, General Mills, I like to call her. Maybe she's trying to keep people safe, but really, is it necessary to force people to wear masks outside? And especially when there's hardly anybody around you, and even if there is, we're outside. If people had said, worried about this virus, it'd be a good idea to wear masks around people sometimes, the people who are more at risk, that'd be the nice thing to do. I'd be happy to do it. But when you say, you have to do it, or you can't do this, and you can't do that, it's the nanny state. it is forced. People do not like to feel control. I certainly don't. And that's what we're seeing is this compliance, this control. Then we have the vaccine. Anyway, so there's a part of me that wants to fight, the system, that wants to bring out lawsuits. And I actually am talking to people. I know somebody who's a lawyer who's going to sue, especially about this recent mandate. But also intuitively, I know that kiting energy is not the answer, that ultimately the answer is creating this new way. And so just doing, like I'm doing right now with the kids here playing in our yard, we're learning outside the system, and it's creating how we want to be. We're trying to create this homestead, this self-sufficient way of life. We got a wood stove. We're going to get chickens. We're trying to grow our own food as much as we can. We're still learning. It's going to take time. And I have communities I connect with. Yes, in action. We need to act. That's right, Christina. And that is really where, it's just living the way they say, what's the phrase? Be the change you want to see in the world, be that way instead of fighting against what we don't want. And that's unfortunately, that's why the political system is so corrupt, because it's always, well, I just don't want that person, so I'm going to vote for this person. And I didn't do that this time. I mean, either way, I voted third party, if you want to know, and I usually do that because that's who I really want. This is who I really want, is not these corrupt political parties who do not have our interests in mind. So some people are going to say, oh, well, you're this because you don't support that, or you're this because you don't support that. And I have friends who are like, people, we're trained to want to put people in a box as a way to understand them. But I think most of us feel that way, that we're a little suspicious. We want to trust, but we're starting to wonder. And so with this darkness that we're seeing, this is the other thing that came up in the records. We're experiencing the darkness, and for people to really awaken to what's happening and to say no, like I do not comply. I'm willing to do this, but when it comes to my personal body, when it comes to things that maybe I think I said this. I have a friend whose child goes to a private school here. It's Waldorf school here in Maine. And their kids they're wearing masks 5 days a week. They're running around in masks. Kids are lightheaded. They're putting their heads down their desks. They're complaining of dizziness. It is not healthy. And any rational person knows that. But the fear programming is convincing us otherwise. So when we say, no, this is too far, this is too much, this is not okay, that is our free will. And we have this as a divine law. And this is what we're being asked to do as a human race. What do we agree to? What do we comply with? And that's where we have the power to say, ultimately, we all want the same thing. We want to live healthy, happy, free lives. And we all have some of us are focusing more on freedom. Some of us are focusing more on health. And some of us are focusing more on somewhere in between. Or, just neither one maybe. But we all ultimately want to be happy, and we want to create a better world. We just have different ideas of how to get there. When we can come to that place of understanding that we're not against each other, that it's not somebody walking down the street who's wearing a mask who's to blame, or somebody who's not wearing a mask who's to blame, or somebody who believes this or voted for this person who's to blame. When we can move past that, that's when we truly will find healing. And believe me, I've had to do my own work around this because I get triggered too. I'm a human too. But that ultimately is what I believe we're being asked to do. I don't trust any of the political people, to be honest. I think they all have ulterior motive. I think they all have egos. Some of them, and I think ultimately the way that we're not looking to these figures to fix things for us. It certainly isn't really ever worked, and taking back power for ourselves and not giving our power away to like a hero. This person's saving us, right? No, I don't think so. I don't think this person is saving us. I think we're the ones that can save ourselves. And that's that over and over again. That's the message that comes through from my guides and in the Akashic Records, is that we're being asked to step into our sovereignty as creators of our own reality. We have this God essence. We have this God energy, this divine light within us that we can activate to create the world we want to live in. So let's just do it together instead of apart. We're much more powerful together. It's just unbelievable what we can do. I do feel that's coming. But it is up to us and we plant seeds. Those of us who know exactly what I'm talking about, you're with me. We can help plant seeds with people who are still awakening, who are starting to see something's not quite right, but there still is a lot of programming to work through. Years of programming, right? I had to deprogram myself. I woke up in about 2015. Most of my family is still, they don't see. I speak a different language with them because they don't understand my perspective, and they want to put me in a box. Oh, you must be this. Oh, you must be that. Not as simple as that. So anyway, I hope this helps. And I'll just say to those of you who are interested in sharing light, because we need as many light workers as we can get. So we're being called upon. This is like, there's an attack. It is a battle. I know I don't like to say it that way, but it is, of light and dark. And the light, I believe, that will prevail. I don't want to say it is like winning necessarily, because that seems like we need to move out of polarity, we move out of division, but we're moving out of darkness on earth into light. Then we're being called upon to help. So if you want to help, I can help you activate, if you want, through the Intuitive Guide certification program. You can do what I do, just sharing light with people, going to the Akashic records, help teaching people to clear the ego, really helping do your own work to embody and experience that first, and then really help others. It's a 10-month program starting in January. I've created it. I needed to create it because it needs to happen. We need many, many light workers, and so we will be meeting online every 2 weeks for 10 months, 2 retreats in person, hopefully in Maine, or you don't have to do the retreats if you don't want to. At the end of the program, we'll teach you how to start a business, how to market, how to create a website, how to shine your light, move through any limiting beliefs about money, all the things that I've done. Also, you'll learn how to do guided imagery, which is like hypnotherapy for people to really clear out those negative ego beliefs. So I'll post a link for that here, but it's also on my website, soulforworkconsulting.com. So let me know if you're interested in that. But anyway, otherwise, and there's only space for 10 people, and I think it's gonna be exciting. So anyway, other than that, I'm choosing hope. I'm choosing to have faith. I do believe we does feel kind of hopeless at times. It can feel hopeless. Then there's also some hope, and regardless of who's president, we have the power as citizens to bring back that hope and to bring that energy of unity and healing and forgiveness and compassion and understanding for the other. It's going to get rocky. It is already rocky. I think it may continue to be rocky, but I'm hoping that with our vibrations that we bring and our hope that we can shift things. So, all right, keep the faith, keep the hope. Talk to you soon. Much love. Bye.